Okay, boys, here we go. Welcome to the Misfit Film Room. This is where we take our gameplay videos and we go over them and see how we can improve both as individuals and as a group. So, here we're going to be discussing the format that we're going to be using, and we're going to use some of my own gameplay to go through and so you guys can get a chance to see how I critique myself and, how I look at my own stuff. This is an example of an Iron Banner game, so that's 6v6 on Javelin. Sign and I were in a group, but it was just the two of us with four blueberries against an entire team of six people. Um, we didn't end up winning in the end, but that's not really what's important. The focus of this particular gameplay is going to be me trying to explain my thoughts about how I approach engagements, what makes me engage, what makes me disengage, and the different thoughts that are going through my mind in each engagement. So the format's going to be, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the whole gameplay. I'm going to shut up. We can watch it from start to finish. Then we're going to rewind it and go through it one thought at a time. So, without further ado, let's go.
I shot him. I got a hit marker and everything. Oh my god. My zone. 1, 2. Good clean up left.
Oh, crap. Where'd he come from? 3 at B. Careful. That was awful. They're coming down the hallway going to A. Oh, and they spawn me just right freaking in front of them. Holy crap. Thank you, bud.
Should have played that one better. Mind you.
It'd be nice to, like, just have a 1v1, you know?
Fuck. Mm. Damn it.
5 Barker's really pissing me off. Him and that friggin' Telesto. seriously, Bob?
Second half of that. I got a kill though. I'll take it.
No, no.
Move forward, move forward. You gotta go after that guy because
Yeah, that was all kinds of. Okay.
what's happening over here? What the fuck just happened? Yo, we were standing right in front of each other throwing melees. I think we each
Mhm.
threw two melees and neither one of them, like none of them connected. I'm gonna clip that.
Oh
Please
my
don't let me
god!
forget to clip this game. Fuck, it's a crimson.
I had to reload. Hang on, timeout, please. Thank you. Oh shit! How I got out of that? I'm gonna have to show you this game because I've seen a little bit of everything. I was
Fuck, he's
you
following
get
me.
out of the way.
Warlock outside.
I hate Bob Barker.
Does it to Lesto?
Yeah, but he shattered died me that time. It's another super.
God, where am I getting hit from? Everywhere. Could have gone better.
I hate fucking Bob Barker.
Okay, so this is where I stopped the video. We're going to rewind it, start from the beginning, and talk about each engagement and a couple of the different movements that I went through to get to or away from each engagement. Um, First thing you notice off the bat is obviously I need to work on my primary shot. Probably take some more time in between shots and line them up because at least two of those deaths happened simply because I didn't hit my shots. Uh, but now that we're back at the beginning, let's take some time and go through it. So right off the bat, anybody that knows me knows we starting in control. The first place I'm going is B. Why? Because I want to get into an engagement quickly. If we can get that first pick, again, it becomes a 6v5, and our team can steamroll just a little bit more. It's a very risky play, obviously, because I'm not the only person that tends to head towards B. A lot of times you'll find that there'll be four sitting at their original zone and then two headed to the middle. But I do take that risk. So you'll see me not capturing a whole lot of zones in this gameplay. But let's move on. Here's something that I was talking about with Scott just the other day. Um, as a hunter, one of the ways that we are able to move around the map quickly is by bouncing our head off of low rooftops. So always be on the lookout for those opportunities. This map has several. You also want to look out on places like Burnout or Exodus Blue. Always be looking for a low roof because banging your head off of the ceiling, believe it or not, because of Destiny physics, works actually very well. It gives you a little bit of speed boost and lets you get around the map just a little bit faster. Boom. Now here's our first engagement, the beginning of our first engagement. Now let you guys know what I see from here. Um, as I look around, the first thing that I see is I've got two people on radar, one in front of me and one to my right. Okay, so that's why I have my sniper out and I'm looking down the hallway. Most people that approach B on this particular map are coming from that long hallway at the back of C to the right of their spawn. That's what I'm anticipating as I move forward into the zone. Let's keep going. Pause here. You notice I have my sniper out. Why? Because in this situation, my sniper is the best weapon I have available to me. Um, I saw the blip on my radar, so I know that somebody is coming. At least one person is coming from Diamond Door, and I'm probably not going to worry as much about the blip to my right now because there was at least one other blueberry that came with me towards the zone. I'm going to leave it on him to try to take care of that person on my right. We'll see whether or not that works out. So boom, you hit the headshot. But now that person on my right is now pushing me closer. Because if you'll pay close attention to the screen, you will see that this blip has just become a lot darker, and it's also a gradient out, which means that the person who's coming is up in the air. That's what I'm looking for when I'm looking to my right now. We didn't get the shot.
I shot him. I got a hit marker and everything.
And of course the bitching comes in,
Oh
but
my
there's
god.
always space for that. So here's my second engagement. What we have here, let's actually back it up just a couple of seconds and
Hit marker and
push
everything.
forward a little bit. Because
Oh my
before I
god.
started to ADS, the first thing that I noticed is here. As I check my radar again, I see I have, if I'm here, there's a blip here, Scott died here, and I've got a blueberry here, which means the threat's coming from this way. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for as I approach the engagement. Boom. Now you notice that this guy didn't come from my right. He actually came from B over there. So what does that mean? Now I have two threats to concern myself with. What you'll see here is as I took the shot, yeah, of course I missed, but I maintained cover here. You do that to try to cut off anybody from getting another angle on you. This is one of the ways that we try to keep and make sure that we are always approaching in 1v1s as much as possible. You'll see why that's important in a moment. Because now we have two threats. Took the first shot, got an 84 on the guy on the left, but someone to my right just jumped over. So that means, what do I need to do? I need to be pushing into cover. This box, where are we? This box is still my best bet for staying alive. That's what I'm thinking in this moment. So here, we jump over the box, We jump over the box to get a different angle. See if this guy is already looking this way. So if I come back out the box this way, I'm just going to be right in his line of fire of that crimson. And if he wins that 1v1, he's going to have his health back. So coming over the box and changing angles so that both me and the blueberry who's still here to my left can shoot at the same guy, but he can't shoot at both of us at the same time. Pause once again. Next thought pattern. Okay, we got the kill, but as we look here, now we've got even more on our radar. There's somebody in front of us, and there's somebody off to the angle. That means there's going to be at least one person on B, and at least one person coming through Diamond Door. We have to, at this point, get our weapon reloaded and figure out which one is the more pressing threat. Boom. Now, what we've done, since this guy on our right got taken out, we still have to deal with B, so that's where we're looking next. The ice was actually to cut off the angle of anybody else coming from Diamond Door, because the one thing about the radar is it might tell you where the threat is coming from, but it won't tell you how many people are there. So we're always going to be paying attention to our radar, and we're going to be talking about that kind of heavily as we move through this specific critique. But now let's look at the moment that we find ourselves in once we do cut that off. Now the guy who was on B, here he is in our face, Mr. Shotgun. All right, but we also have Mr. Pulse Rifle. Who is the more pressing threat? If you said Mr. Shotgun, you're right. So that means now we've got to deal with him. But we've also got to find a way to get rid of the threat from Mr. Pulse Rifle over on B. Let's see what happens. What did I do there? Not only did I dodge to get the slow on the guy pushing in with the shotgun, I specifically dodged into cover. That's how we cut off the threat from Mr. Pulse Rifle, and we could deal with Mr. Shotgun here, who is no longer happy. Since I know I have support from the teammates, I can push out into B. Actually, let's back that up just a touch so we can talk more about exactly how that push into B went and why I did exactly what I did. Oops. Good. So now that I'm reloaded and my weapon is full and I'm ready to fight Mr. Pulse Rifle on B, I also know that he is looking. He is currently looking at this angle. Last time I saw him, I saw a scope glint. So what do I need to do in order to get into the angle? I can't come up with my head up here. Why? Because then he'll blow it off. What I need to do is to slide with my gun out. What that does is it keeps me below head level, which is here. And you'll notice that he ends up missing his shot because of it. That lets me get the advantage on him in that gunfight. Boom. I was able to get 2 shots off before he was even able to adjust his aim. At that point, I'm up 2 shots on him. His shields are gone. He's got about 60 or 70 health left, and I can take him out pretty easily. Again, when you're on B and you know for a fact that a lot of the other team is around here, the rate at which C was filling up lets me know that there are at least 2 people on that zone. Plus, I have another blip on the radar, means that they're coming this way, which is very similar to um, the initial engagement that we had, and I want to try to treat it similarly, but now I'm using my primary. The other thing that you'll notice on radar is I'm not by myself. There's one blueberry here directly to my right, and my teammate is here. He's coming from A boxes, while the other blueberry is back here. So I know that I have a little bit of support. So in that case, what I want to do is now we want to establish how can we team shot this guy? Because instead of me just pulling out my sniper and try to make some heroic play, no. What I need to do is just get some damage down range and get him to stop pushing us. That way we can establish our zone, get the capture, and move on to the next engagement. The other thing that I do that I stress to you guys a lot, especially when using a hand cannon, is shooting from cover. And this is why. Um, Mr. Pushy Titan back here was using a pulse rifle, which means he's got 3 bursts, and he's got to hit me with all 3 shots in order to do the same amount of damage that I can do to him in 1 shot. So even if he hits me with 1 shot from the burst, he's taking off 33 damage because he's using a Stars and Shadow. Whereas I've put in 47 if I hit him in the body, 90 if I hit him in the head, and I'm still up in the gunfight. And then in between shots, boom, back into cover, back out of cover to take the next shot, back into cover. This is an important thing that I need you guys to really be focused on, um, especially when you're using one hit weapons. Yeah, that was just unlucky. Had I been paying more attention, I would have seen that somebody had picked up a rocket coming from heavy, but I wasn't. I won't make that mistake again. So let's talk about this engagement. I just came off spawn, looking for an angle. Which way do I want to push? What are my options? I can either go straight forward out into the hallway, or I can go back to B where I just died. Now I know for a fact there's at least 2 people at B. Why? Because we had Mr. Bouncy Rocket who came and killed me, and we also had the Titan who I didn't see whether or not he died yet in the kill feed. So I can anticipate that there are 2 people to my left, and because I am once again looking at my radar, there's at least one person in front of me who has just gotten the kill with the grenade launcher. When you pick up a grenade launcher off a heavy, you get 4 shots. I don't know if you were paying attention or not, but he's already wasted 3. So the chances are actually pretty high that I'll be able to get up in this engagement. Why? Because what blueberries really want to use their heavy when they get it. So I can almost guarantee that he's still going to have that grenade launcher in his hand when he comes around that corner, and at that point, I have the advantage. Yep, that red glint lets me know that he still has his grenade launcher, and now that I put in 132 into him, I've got the advantage. The other thing that's important to note is exactly how this engagement was approached. A lot of times you'll see me take a sniper shot and leave. Why? Because I've already done my duty. I've in the team shot scenario, because this is a team game we have to remember, I've put 131 damage into the enemy, the most pressing enemy, right in front of us. I also have the support of at least 2 teammates. Whether I clean them up or not is really not important. We are going to win this engagement because it is now 3 guns v1. Um, to the other point, the next thing that you'll see me do is instead of trying to reapproach the engagement from the same angle, which would be expected as usual, because my health is not full, I want to get back into cover and find a different angle to engage him from. See how that plays out.
Oh crap!
Yeah, yeah, he's already dead by the time I get there. So
Um,
now it's time to assess the situation again. So what have we got? We have, oops, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 blueberries right around me, 5 teammates, and then me here in the middle. All 6 of us are here. And then since I know that Scott just died over here, and I've got a blip over here, this is more than likely where the opposite team is coming from. So me pushing down into this hallway may not be the best course of action, My best course of action would be to turn around and engage with blueberries 2 and 3 when they get the guy coming from B.
Look at dude.
Yeah, that's not what I did.
Careful.
This is also important. Um, and I let the audio play out for a very specific reason, because what you would have heard is my teammate just said there are 3 at B, which means I was correct in my assessment of where the team was coming from, but I was just kind of incorrect in the angle that I took. Um, but my first angle was to look from this doorway into Rocket. But what that does is exposes me from here, from here, from Rocket, and from here. So instead of doing that, we slide across. Nice little art to get a better angle. So now I have cut off this guy. I have a view on this guy that's a very difficult shot to make for most people, and I have full view of Diamond Door. You'll see how that plays out shortly. And this is another concept that I probably should have talked about a little bit earlier, but what we want to do is try to create space. I don't know what weapon the guy who just jumped over into rockets has. Because it's Destiny, he more than likely has a shotgun, but you never know. So what I need to do is, because I have a sniper rifle and I have the distance advantage, is to back up. At best, he's fighting me with the primary. At worst, he's pushing his shotgun. He's going to push into the middle and just get himself killed. Because I've got a little bit of support here. And if you look at my radar, you'll notice that I also have support here and here. If this is me.
That was awful. They're
I just turned to my right to check my angle because I had been in my scope for a little bit too long.
coming down the hallway going to A.
Sometimes you get lucky. And sometimes it's skill. I'm still not the greatest sniper in the world, but you do have to be ready for people to slide out. It's rare that any kind of a skill player would come around a corner at head level, so you do have to be prepared for when someone does slide.
Oh, and this spawn just right freaking in front of him.
The speech here is important. What Scott just said is they spawned me right here, right in front of him. So what does that let me know? Well, I saw that his green. Well, I don't have my radar up now. Let's head back just a couple of seconds. This.
Freaking in front of
Okay.
coming down the hallway going to A.
When I came out of my.
Oh, and this spawn
Here we
just
go.
right freaking in front of him.
Still a work in progress, guys. Give me a second.
They're coming from down the hallway going to A. Oh, and this spawn just right freaking in front of him.
Okay. So here. If we look here, I saw, even amongst all of this chaos, I saw the green here to know that sign just spawned to my left, which means he spawned on A. So what he says is, oh, he spawned me right in front of him. So now I know that there's at least one person here coming from B who can see into A. That's where my next opponent is. That's the angle that I need to push.
Freaking in front of him.
It's important to note that I didn't push this way directly to Scott. The reason I didn't do that is because I also heard, because it's not just watching, but also listening to what's going on. He put a grenade out. And if I know sign, he put that grenade right in front of him to stop him from being pushed, which means he has to retreat back here. If I cut him off here, I cut off his retreat and I get the win. He didn't even see me coming. Now, now that that threat's taken care of, I had to turn around because I had one blip here and another blip here. Judging from where I am, this blip is coming from B. This blip is near Diamond Door. Only one of those angles can even see me from where I'm standing. That's my next threat. Take care of that guy. But while I'm reloading, what I see is another blip here. So now I've got to be a little bit more careful. Let's see what happens. Into cover.
Holy crap.
Now, I'm fighting from cover, which is the right thing to do, but it's not just me and the Warlock. I've also got his buddy back here that I need to concern myself with, which means I need to handle the situation a little bit different. I can no longer just have the primary fight with the Warlock, which I feel confident in that I could win. So now what I need to do is get back into cover, reassess, and find a better angle or use my abilities. That's why the scythe came out. My thought process was, if the scythe hits the warlock, it will then also track to the titan. Now I've got two people slowed. I can move to my left around this cover and create a 1v1. Because if the titan is standing at the top of the steps, this wall here prevents him from being able to see me directly this way. But I know that I do have a warlock here to deal with. This is my one. This is my 1v1, which is a good thing. Except my melee killed the warlock. So now I have to see what is my next objective. Kill the titan in front of me. I timed it a little bit off, but I did throw the ice, not necessarily to shatter dive him, but to cut off his angle of escape. What I thought was going to happen was he was going to, you know, push forward onto the stairs and fight me from here. But instead, what he actually did was go this way. So just turn around and kill him, because at that point I'm shooting him in the back, which is almost like duck hunting.
Thank you, bud.
This engagement is important, and it'll become clear why in a couple more minutes. I lost the engagement because I took it out in the open. But the important thing that I took away from this engagement was this particular hunter is using a sidearm. Sidearms have a very hard cutoff at about 17 meters of range. You always have to keep that in mind if you're fighting against somebody with a sidearm. Inside of 17 meters, they're deadly. Outside of 17 meters, they're pea shooters. Keep that in mind.
Should have played that one better. Mind you.
It must go way too long. Definitely got lucky though. This is another important engagement. Um, because it's another lesson in fighting from cover. Excuse me. So yeah, I was sprinting out here because I wanted to get another angle and see what was going on in the middle. I knew that my team was not in the middle specifically because, you know, my guy's here, and then I've got a blueberry here, and a dead blueberry here. The blip on my radar, let's clean that up. So these two blips, oops, it's actually three blips if you can see it very closely. There is the dark shaded one here, which means that there's somebody in this vicinity. There's a lighter shaded one here, which means somebody is up in the air here. And then right on the outer ridge means that there's somebody else back in this same direction, which means I've got three guys at this angle, two of which are rockets with unknown trajectories. So that's what I'm thinking about when I come around this corner. But at the same time, I do have the support of the two blueberries, the one to my immediate right and the one trailing behind on my left. That's why when I take this engagement, I take it directly from cover. My assumption was, it's a dangerous assumption, but it's assumption nonetheless, is that since I took the engagement first right here next to the box, the blueberry behind me would try to come around because that's the only way he'd be able to get shots out. And if there's one thing that blueberries want to do is they want to get shots out. Um, this guy was standing on the wall, which is in a lot of ways bad for him. When you think about the angle that he's taking, if you are getting pushed from this direction and you're standing against this wall, there's nowhere for you to go. All of this is no man's land. You're gonna get killed. And if you try to push back into Diamond Door, that's about, let's say, 8 meters of space, which should take you about a half, if we say a half second to cover. Except the TTK of three guns is almost instant. Say all of that to say, this guy's screwed. Again, shooting from cover, in and out. So what do I see here? I've got the blueberry here, who's in a gunfight, with at least one guy. This means that he's going to be in this vicinity somewhere. But again, I have somebody at a higher elevation back here, which more than likely means that they're on the platform. While this guy here is on the ground. This is what I'm keeping in mind as I come around this corner and make sure that I'm not getting shot from this direction. So I push this way. Eh, everybody misses, right?
It'd be nice to like just have a 1v1, you know?
No. Yeah, we all want 1v1s. That's where we have to work hard to play our cover and play our movement and make sure that we can get them.
Fuck.
This engagement was just kind of unlucky. Um, I knew that I had at least one guy in front of me, but had I read my radar a little bit more carefully, I would have realized that there was more than one because there was another one coming from this way at that time. So the guy here had support, and I probably shouldn't have taken this gunfight.
Damn it.
Yeah, it turns out there were two, one from each direction.
Bob Barker's really pissing me off.
So here's what I'm thinking here. I have two blips on my radar, one towards Rocket and one back to that hallway where I'm actually looking. But I saw that somebody just died. Um, a lot of times people will push their kills, which means if they get a kill, they're going to start moving towards where they just killed that person. So my thought was, if somebody they just got the kill over here, then their instinct will be to come out this way, and then I can, catch them in my sniper scope here. But that's not what happened.
End up friggin' Telesto.
The one thing that I did want to talk about with this particular engagement and why I took it the way I did. Um, my assumption is always that if I can see somebody else on radar, then they can see me on radar. So I know that this Titan is here. I can see him from before I even came around the corner that he was going this way just because of the motion of the radar. The important thing that I did here was I once again slid into the engagement. Why? One, to protect myself from not being on head level, which is a no-no, and also to stay off of his radar just for a split second. Because what I want to do is make sure that when I come around this corner, that he's still fighting this way. So I could try to get the advantage on him and shoot him in the back of the head. Here I used my super because I saw two of them. I didn't necessarily anticipate the split, but you'll see that I rotate my camera halfway through the super to try to double check what's happening behind me also. I know that my squall is going to cause them to scatter, but I need to try to see which way are they going to scatter. Specifically, since I threw this and the two guys back here split, this guy's going this way, this guy's going this way. That makes this a no man's land. As much as I may want to, I cannot push back this way because then I am putting myself at risk from this guy and at risk from this guy, both turning around at the same time and engaging me. The safest bet is just to follow up the super and go in that direction.
You got it. Seriously, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, it's destiny. No one's gonna survive forever. Eventually, you gotta take a super to the face. Here again, I was actually anticipating the person who just got this kill here still being in this vicinity somewhere and trying to push towards it. Um, and believe it or not, knowing that, I really should not have had my sniper out. I should have had my primary out because in that case, it's going to be a very close range gunfight. Because at that speed, because I don't know if you can see, but there's a small blip, which means that they're very, very close. Let's reset this. There is they're on the outer edge of the radar, which means from here that they're very close to B and coming this way. So at that speed, even as fast as I can get there, we're going to end up meeting somewhere here in the middle. If you have a sniper, you have to learn to be comfortable with taking those close shots. Because you're not always going to have an opportunity to pull out your primary and engage with that. Sometimes you just get caught off guard. I really shouldn't have been caught off guard in this case, but I was because nobody's perfect. So, sniper out, take the shot. Get back in the cover, put it away, try to re-engage. Now here you'll see he's using Telesto, and I've gotten hit judging from my health, which is way in the red, all the way down to here. He's probably hit me with at least 4 bolts, which means I need to GTFO. So my thought was, of course, the shadow dive to get that little bit of extra damage resistance and try to start making my way back that way. Um, but this player in this case was actually very aggressive. He did the right thing. He came up over the box and finished me off before I can get away.
No! No!
Move
Forward.
forward, move forward. You gotta go after that guy because
Yeah,
Unlucky.
I
Okay, so what do we have now? I just saw the Warlock in front of me, so I know that the Warlock is hanging around heavy here. I also heard the Titan somewhere in his general vicinity. I don't know about you, but if I hear a super pop off, unless it's a behemoth, my first instinct is, okay, get your sniper out, take your one shot. At the very worst, you missed, you GTFO. If you do it right, you, you do it right, you put some damage in, your team can clean them up, or even better, you get the headshot and you knock him off.
That was all kinds of.
Okay.
Actually, let's back this one up a second, because it's actually important what happened after I missed on the Titan and why I did what I did.
That was all kinds of.
So because I missed, it was actually important then that I get into cover to try to do my best to get away from the burning mall. So I came this way. But of course, I do have a blip here, which means that my path out is not totally clear. So I need to be prepared to fight as soon as I get around this corner. And there's the fight. I got lucky that a Nova Bomb came out, but that's not the end of
Okay.
it. Once again, I found myself in a position where I had to pick a fight. You know, the guy to my left was dead, but by the time I landed, there's somebody who was coming over top this way, ready to fight. So I got to get my primary out, take the shots, and let the chips fall where they may. Now, once again, what you'll see, this is really during the shadow dive meta. And this particular player had shadow dived at least three separate players during this match. So my thing is, I know is if he's holding W and moving forward, then that's probably what I should anticipate. So that's the reason why when I repositioned, instead of repositioning right behind the boxes, I tried to make my way over here to create space to avoid exactly what happened. Because had I gone straight through this way or behind the boxes this way, I probably would have been a victim of that shadow dive. See a super, follow a super. Get some orbs, get some super energy. This is where that sidearm comment comes in. Now, I knew when I saw his username and when I heard what's going on that this guy has a sidearm. I am currently about 15 meters away from him. What do I need to do? If your answer was to back up and create some space, you are correct. So not only did I create some space on the ground, I also did my best to create some vertical space. This player wasn't dumb enough to just stand out in the open and take his shots. He actually went into cover, and then tried to come back out to fight, which means that he's expecting me to be in the same general vicinity. By getting that little bit of verticality, I'm able to get another shot up on him, and at that point, I'm just putting out more damage than he is.
What's happening over here?
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. That's what I mean by taking those close shots. That's probably a little bit closer than most snipers are comfortable with, and I really should not have stayed and taken the second shot. But my thought was, he's used to less though. If he missed me, at best, there's a whole bunch of those little purple things behind me or on the wall somewhere. So if I back up, I'm dead. If I move to the right, because of all of the ice, I'm dead. So my only real course of action was to try to take out the threat in front of me and then get back into cover. It just happened to work out. What I'm looking for in that situation, and the reason that my reticle was so low, is really just to keep vision on both sides of that column so I didn't get surprised. Here comes the fun part.
What the?
Because what would
What the fuck
Destiny
just
be without the
happened?
bullshit?
Yo, we were standing right in front of each other throwing melees. I think we each threw two melees and neither one of them, like none of them connected. I'm gonna clip that. Please don't let me forget to clip this game. Fox Crimson.
I had to reload. Hang on, timeout, please. Thank you.
I'm gonna just be honest. This is the part of the game when I really started to lose concentration. I think it was because of the whole melee thing. You have to be careful when you, but to not take yourself out of the moment, because what you'll see is from here to the end of the match, it just kind of snowballed. I know for me personally, my shot was off. The next three deaths I have are literally because I missed shots that were perfectly viable that I normally would hit, but because I wasn't in the correct mind space anymore, it just didn't happen.
Oh shit! How I got out of that? I'm gonna have to show you this game because I've seen.
This is probably the last good engagement that I had. And here's why. If we back it up just ever so slightly, what we have here is a situation where they're fighting 2v2. You've got an enemy here. I'm sorry, 3v2. An enemy here. There's a good guy here, good guy here, good guy here. The enemy has better cover because you'll notice that the three good guys are all out of cover. But here I come. So as we advance the video just slightly,
I'm gonna.
first instinct, because what I see is this guy already dead. The guy that was here by the column, very close to dead. And we've got two full health enemies in front of us. Okay? So I take my shot and try to re-establish cover to avoid this 2v1.
Have to show you this game.
That's why I took the angle going towards the column first to try to cut this guy's angle off so that I only had to deal with the crimson over here. What you'll see is I ended up going over top, specifically because Mr. Crimson is trying to fight this way. He's either still expecting me to be here or he's shooting at the guy behind the column. Uh, little Mr. Titan over here is kind of clueless. He has no idea what's going on. So that means if I come over top this way, of course, Shadow Dive. I have the advantage because the other thing in Destiny that people don't realize is it's much easier to drag your reticle down than it is to push your reticle up. There's actually more reticle friction, more vertical reticle friction going up than there is coming down. That's the reason why hunters can be so difficult to deal with, and it's not just the FOV, but it's actually very hard to hit a target that's in the sky. It's also the reason why top tree dawn blades are very powerful in this particular meta. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. If you can establish vertical space in a tight corridor, it will almost always be to your advantage.
Because I've seen a little
So
bit
go
of
over
advantage.
top, shadow dive, boom. Because I shadow dove, and I know that the Titan is still there, my first instinct, right after I hit the shadow dive button, is to turn to my right and figure out where that Titan is so I can shoot him in the face.
I was.
Then, even, I'm guilty of this too. When I said, most people, they get the kill and they push towards it. That's exactly what I did. I killed the Titan and I pushed towards it. The reason I did that is because I wanted to reestablish cover. Because at this point, heavy spawned, okay? And there's somebody either there or on their way to it, which means I've learned my lesson from the last time on B where I got racketed for no reason. Somebody's on their way to heavy and I'm going to have to deal with them. That's what I'm thinking as I move into this next engagement.
away.
Actually, let's just back that up a touch and talk more specifically about that engagement with heavy. Um, like I said, I noticed I'd missed it before that the person had picked up a rocket, but this time I was able to see that somebody picked up a sword. That's the reason why you see me pull my primary out, start this way, going towards the heavy. Because if it's a rocket, I want to get in their face. Because at the very least we trade. But because I see it's a sword, now I know. Whoa! And I figured it out right when I got about here. Sword, gotta back up. I threw the melee to slow him down, dodge back to freeze him, and then he's a sitting duck. Unfortunately, because I pushed towards my kill and wasn't reading my radar as well, I ended up getting pushed by the crimson that I saw there. Then I also said that there's a blip here, which means that there's somebody back here, and a blip here, which means that there's somebody back here. So I'm trying to get away from crimson. My initial instinct was to try to go up on the box and then jump down this way, because at the very least, I've gotten away from the crimson and only have to deal with this guy here. But you'll see that as we push forward just a bit, what we heard was a shotgun come from this way somewhere. So now I've got the shotgun there. I've got this crimson right behind me in the air somewhere. I've got another guy over here, and the radar is full, which means it's one here, way over here, and right here behind the box where I wanted to go. This is no longer a safe space because there's one, two, three guns over there. There's one gun here, there's one gun behind me, and at least one gun to my right. So the only place at that point where I can go is this way, but it didn't really work out that way.
Fuck, he's following
Get
me.
out of the way.
Yeah, nothing really I could do in that situation. I had pushed way too far into
Bob
this
Barker
spawn.
outside.
I hate Bob Barker.
That's a last stop.
Once again, my attitude for supers is take the shot and get out. So I did see, I heard the super pop obviously, and I saw that he got a kill here. Which means if I heard the super pop in front of me and got a kill here, he's probably headed this way. Why? Because I know that there's all these people back here, I'm sorry, who just spawned at C. Because I just came from over there. So, try to set up, prepare yourself for the super that's coming.
Yeah, but he shattered.
If you can tell me how this shot was missed, I'll take it. But whatever.
Me, shattered, died me that time. This is super.
Now, this is what I call a shit show. I just got into a gunfight here. That was with a hand cannon. Just heard Mr. Sidearm. Oops. Mr. Sidearm over here. That's this blip on my radar. Mr. Sidearm is there. And of course, I just spawned in, so I don't really have my full awareness of what's going on. And like I said earlier, I kind of lost concentration at that point. So I was kind of screwed either way. Now, as I reassess the situation, I just got hit from back there, which is the staircase, if you remember. But it wasn't with the Crimson. It was with a different hand cannon. So now I've got Mr. Crimson and Mr. Hand Cannon. I know that Mr. Sidearm was approaching me from this way. I've got three people and a very terrible angle. The best I can do is try to get back to this rift and reassess.
God, where am I getting hit from? Everywhere.
And this is just unlucky, because all I needed to do was hit this guy one time in the head and would have been done, but missed my shots.
Could have gone better.
Yeah, you gotta take that easy one when you can get it. Um,
I hate fucking Bob Barker.
but in the end, that's the gameplay. I know I've been asked before, and it was mentioned that my movement is pretty good. And so I figured that this would be a good opportunity to talk about not just having good movement, but what constitutes good movement. You have to really be paying attention to your radar to get an idea of not just where the current threat is, but where all of the threats are, who has an angle on you, and which way you should move. Knowing that allows you to know which piece of cover is safe and which pieces of cover are not. The other thing that I hope that you can take away from this is fight from cover. If you can get to cover, you can force 1v1s, which you can then work to your advantage. As long as you can hit your shots, you'll win your ones. You'll almost never win your twos, and you're very, very, very rarely going to win your threes without a super. Um, the last thing, pay attention to not just the kill feed, but the heavy ammo spawns. I lost concentration in the beginning of the match, got killed by a rocket. But when I was able to keep my wits about me and see the homeboy had a sword, we could just freeze him and take him out. He gets to do nothing. Um, so that's it. I hope you're able to find this video at least a little bit useful. I do look forward to looking at gameplay that is not my own. Um, and hopefully we'll all have a good time, learning together in this great game that we call Destiny, where we can throw melees at each other for a minute and a half and nobody hits. All right, guys, take it easy.